Oh man, Cats, I am so pumped for this series. This is like the blessed day to be casting the Europe side of things because you just can't go wrong with this series. We were talking about this, is like, is it possible for this series to not go super well? And I can actually really struggle to think about how it could go poorly.
It's very difficult to imagine. These two are just so very good, and they're always looking to one-up each other. They really feed off of each other to improve. Like that, that's what makes them so very good at their game to some extent, is that they have each other to kind of play against and be like, okay, well, that's the guy to beat.
Yeah. All right, well, we already see cute little things, small things. Both these players actually built their spawning pools in preparation for any kind of drone pull all-ins or anything, just walling off some of the area where spine crawlers could come down. But we are thankfully going to be going into, proper expansions, no early pools or anything, and just a nice good old macro game. So, Cats, you're a Zerg player. Walk me through, what are the latest and greatest changes you've been noticing in ZVZ lately?
I don't think it matters because this drone is gonna provide the greatest change that I have ever seen in CVC. I have no idea what he's doing, but he's doing something. I imagine he would want to hide a hatchery somewhere for some reason. Something like just feed Serral wrong information that he's too basing or taking too fast. I'm not sure.
Okay, well, apparently I dropped the pen on my keyboard and typed 3. Sorry about that. What on earth could this drone be used for right now? The only things I can think of is you try and hide tech, but that kind of stuff usually comes later on the game when you have an overlord drop creep and everything. Is it like a hidden expansion? Like,
that's what I think it is.
Yeah.
I mean, when you see a drone exit a base, which overlords would always do later in the game, that a drone left the base. There's only so many things those can do, and one of them is to drop a hatchery. So the fact that he took the drone out before being spotted by the overlord means that he definitely doesn't want Serral to know that there's a drone out there, which means probably that he wants a hatchery. I'm just not sure where or why or what he's gonna do from it.
Oh, you know what? I just thought of something. Yeah, okay, so normally, Cass, you're a Zerg player. You move in and you see a Zerg that does this full wall off with the Evo Chamber, Roach Warren, and the Queen, and you see them turtling up, right? You see no third base. Your immediate instinct is probably going to be either doing like a Roach Nidus Worm attack, or they're going for a 2-base Spire, which has been coming up more often, something like that, right? But if Reynor just has a hidden third base and is actually not doing any of that, this might really throw Serral off his game, but I mean, still not seeing anything happen to that drone. You know what, Cats? What if the drone was just a miss rally?
No, there's zero chance that miss rally into a patrol in the most random, most hidden location. Not a thing. It's gonna be something. I just don't know what it is. Yeah, I mean, I think to your point, when you do this type of build, if you're Reynor, it's very difficult to defend a third. You just lack the units usually to defend a third. Oh, okay, it's a proxy Spire.
Yeah, it's so interesting, like how safe he's being about making sure this doesn't get spotted. Because again, to remind you guys, that drone has been sitting idle and not mining for a very long time now. That does have an impact on your mineral or on your economy.
Oh, most definitely. That drone could have definitely made more money than it has. And I mean, this is partly Reynor banking also on Serral being as good at scouting as Serral is. Because if Serral scouts the main and sees no Spire, and he scouts everywhere and sees no Spire, that's where this comes into play. But that said, the Spire is not particularly early either, because Reynor has been kind of gearing up on the Roach front too.
Yeah, it's also worth noting again, like with this opening as well, he didn't exactly get a evenly timed third base with Serral either. So Serral's going to be pumping out a lot of these Roaches. +1 missile attack is getting close to finishing here for Serral as well. And once Roach speed opens or finishes up, that is going to be kind of that little window where we might see Serral start trying to do something with all those upgrades finishing up and all the units he's been making.
Yeah, these two are so good that it almost makes me wonder if Reynor let that changeling go through a little bit further, just so that Serral would, feel a little bit more confident about the lack of mutant. Now the Overseer is gonna go and re-scout the natural, make sure that there is no Spire. So Serral is anticipating that this is probably a Roach overcommitment. This is committing to the Roaches in the sense that he is getting +2, so he will have a timing attack potentially after that. But this is not the main gig.
Yeah, and I really like that actually Reynor is able to hit just before Serral's Roach speed finishes up, which actually makes it a lot more difficult for Serral to even give chase. Serral drops down a Nidus Worm, which frankly will be finishing up right around the time the mutas are even popping.
Yeah, this could be really dangerous for Reynor. The Nidus Worm is a very strong way to punish mutas in low numbers, right? Because they cut the distance that the roaches would get hurt in moving. So even could bring queens, and that could be pretty game ending. I don't know that Serral knows exactly what's going on, but he wants to test anyway because he's like, I have more than you, so.
Okay, the mutas are now revealed as big, but at the same time, like, are the mutas even in high enough numbers to kill the Nidus Worm? They're going to just go after the roaches instead.
Yeah, I think that's the right call. They are definitely not in high enough numbers to kill that Nidus Worm, and as soon as it finishes, queens could be popping up. So you have to be really careful if you're Reynor. You're just trying to delay this attack and hurt those roaches whilst trying to defend. So this is not too bad. On the side of Serral, I'm sure he's going to start adding a little bit more static defense in case there is a counterattack. The Ravagers already pre-more for Reynor and a little bit exposed actually will get jumped on.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, this fight started out with 40 roaches for Serral and about 20 roaches for Reynor. He literally was doubling the roach supply, and you're starting to see those numbers really take effect. The mutas are trying to now fight versus the queens because they desperately just have to be involved. At the same time, another Nidus Worm pops up in the main base, taking out drones left and right. Serral taking a massive lead over here. The queens are getting surrounded and picked off by drones, and it looks like Reynor is actually starting to push this back, but I do want to note every single one of the mutas did end up falling in the interest of this defense.
Yeah, at the same time, I think it's Reynor that's going to be pulling now into better upgrade territory than Serral. So if he can just hold here, or am I mistaken? That's right?
Only overload speed, I think, there for Reynor. I think it's even upgrades otherwise. Plus one weapons for both players, but...
Oh, I thought I saw +2. Reynor must have canceled +2 attack then to try and hold. Yeah. And yeah, it looks like Serral will have a little bit too much in the end and will push on through.
I have no idea if Serral just happened to be going for the Nidus Worm there, or if that was just the expert level analysis of like, that is not enough roaches. You're a really good player. You should have more than that. You gotta be going for Spire, and I'm just gonna hard counter this now.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he knew it was exactly a Spire because Reynor is the type of player that can mix in anything. He could have been going for something like Hydra or Lurker or something. But the amazing thing that you point out to is that Serral decides for the Nidus after scouting Reynor, after seeing that Reynor should, in theory, have a lot of the same things as him. And in that position, the Nidus isn't good enough. So it's so difficult to make a decision if you're Serral and be like, I don't know what you're doing, but you don't have enough. So, you know, even though you're nearly as good as me and seem to be doing the same thing, whatever you're doing does not account for this attack, and I'm gonna punish you for it. It's so difficult to do that.
It's such a high level judgment call to be able to make that against your opponent. But I mean, these two know each other so well that Serral has that respect. It's almost the move that is like the most respectful move of your opponent, saying, no, you should have more. Like, yes, I'm gonna respect you on this and think that you are definitely doing something right now. So we get ready to move to game number 2 with Serral leading up the series 1-0 off of a really, really good call. No chance of scouting that Spire, but still basically has the right response to it. Ice and Chrome, I feel like that, I mean, that's kind of like a more of a one-off sort of game, right? Like, you don't hide a Spire like that every day.
Well, I think we did a little bit of foreshadowing on this front because Reynor is the type of player that will try to abuse this type of thing. And if Serral just plays his normal game, he will lose to him, you know? He will lose to the Proxy Spire. The Muta will be out, and he will not have a response. So it's Serral that has to take some risks. He doesn't go in there probably thinking, I'm 100% sure I'm going to win. He goes in there thinking, you're trying to trick me. I am pretty sure you're trying to trick me, or I think there's a higher chance that you're trying to trick me, and you're so good that it's worth the risk, right? So I think, yeah, you're absolutely right, Ravi. There is so much respect between these two. In the bottom left-hand side, once again, the former world champion, Serral.
And up at the top right-hand side of the map, we have the blue Zerg player. He is Reynor. All right, mirrored openings coming on forward. And yeah, I really don't hate the idea of Reynor continuing to try and mix it up and try to do sneaky things with like the Spire play and everything. it's been so cool to see the mutas come back in such strong force, it feels like, in the matchup. But it also is one of those things where whenever I see a player that is able to do what Reynor, I think, was trying to do, and you were talking about this in that last game, where they get up a decent number of mutas and your opponent doesn't really have any response and they just get pinned back, it's like a painfully slow death animation for that other player, right? Where you just, oh, I can't really take a fourth because I don't have creep spread going to my fourth base, and the mutas will just deny everything, and I just gradually fall further and further behind.
Yeah, I mean, this matchup is amazing because it's something like the best Zerg trickster in the world against the hardest Zerg to trick in the world. You know, it's just
yeah,
it's really a beautiful thing to watch. So yeah, I think that's the role that Reynor will take on most of the time, and it's on to Serral to kind of, you know, smell it coming and see to it that he stops the shenanigans that Italian is certainly going to continue to throw throughout the series.
Indeed. Well, so far we do have, okay, Zerg speed still going to be researched for both of these players. They're doing totally mirrored builds right now. Also, you know what? Just because it's the best of 5, and I'm just making my wish list now. Right now, Cats, it's I really would love to see these two engage in kind of that Ling-Baneling war a little bit, but I think the funny thing is most of the time that I feel like I end up seeing them, it usually goes into like a lot of the Roach play. It goes into that mid game because I feel like, again, it's just a lot of respect that they had for each other. Like, yeah, you know, I could try and put on a lot of this Ling-Baneling aggression, but they're gonna micro really well. Like, at best, I'll maybe kind of take a minor advantage. So
yeah, it's always nice to see, just because they're both so good that it's a dance that you're watching at that point in the Ling-Bane phase. But like you said, it's hardly ever going to determine these games unless it's one player really tricking the other one into thinking that there's not a bunch of Lings coming and then surprises them. But that's so difficult to do against either one of these. So
yeah, you see the kind of defensive Baneliness coming out for both players. Reynor's going to start up his first 8 Lings just to try and poke around the map and just be ready in case Serral decides to do something with his own Baneling Nest. But yeah, Serral going to follow suit, and they're going to start completing those little wall offs there. And we'll see where the first upgrades actually end up going for these Evo chambers, because that oftentimes can be very, very telling of what the follow-up is.
Yes, indeed. Okay, the Baneling Nest is finishing on the other side. I think both players are being pretty cautious here. 31 workers to 32. Nothing too crazy here, Robbie. It's a pretty normal game so far.
Yeah, I think that's the thing I really enjoy actually about whenever these two play, is I feel as though they typically tend to have like a lot of games that do look pretty normal. Oh, that's a nice little snipe off there from the
That was very uncharacteristic of Serral for that queen to be where it was, right? Like not next to the hatchery, not closer to the circlings. And of course, Reynor, if you see the opening, he's gonna take it. So you have to be really, really careful. The slightest mistake will be exploited in this matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. I was gonna say the thing I really appreciate about whenever these guys play, I do feel like you kind of get a nice variety. It's not like every single game looks exactly the same. So I do like that, yeah, we end up seeing slightly different approaches, like safer approaches in this game number 2. We even see a Spine Crawler coming down over here from Reynor on his side, while he also gets up +1 missile attack, gets up his Roach Horn. The Spine Crawler is kind of interesting, and it feels like he's really kind of afraid about the number of Roaches that Serral's been able to turn out, with a lot of Lings following this up as well for Serral.
Yeah, I think Reynor has the right read with the Spine. This is a very unusual Serral all-inning, but all-inning with 1 queen less than he should be all-inning with. So, I mean, I think that Reynor sees this coming. It's still an all-in by the world champion that you best believe has been very well rehearsed, but look at those Banelings. He is ready to go on the other front as well. Very difficult to stop Roach Baneling without Roaches, but now Reynor with Roaches of his own will have that Spine to back to. The queen gets off a transfuse. Serral has a lot. Reynor only 3 workers with those Banelings. He would have liked a little bit better on the other side, but seems to be okay. Another Spine in the natural.
Okay, the Banelig's going off on some of the larva. It does cancel some of it, but it seems like with the reinforcements coming on out, and even the drone pull, remember, Reynor already up in workers. He can definitely afford to pull a few drones here and there. He is doing just fine on pushing back some of the units. The Lings are getting some nice damage done over here. They're absorbing some of the attacks, but remember, reinforcements come a lot faster here for Reynor, and he is up in supply for a reason.
Yeah, and he's also up in tech and heading into it, right? Like now he started his layer a little bit faster than Serral. Serral feels pretty committed. He's going to start +1 Carapace instead. So he's saying, I'm not done here, and wants to transition further into the game. But he's going to do so at a 13 worker deficit.
And that is a massive deficit for a Zerg versus Zerg. A mirror matchup like this, those kind of worker advantages do not get overcome easily. But Reynor is just going to morph in some more Banelings, make even more drones for now, and get up his +1 missile attack, which is a little bit later than the Carapace upgrade, but it should negate that Carapace upgrade for the most part.
Yeah, and as Reynor decides, okay, I held you and I'm gonna make some more drones, yet still he is giving the follow-up potential some credit by making that spine as well, right? To have those anchor positions that he can kind of fall back to. I loved during that attack that he was willing to pull the drones. And I love that he retreated them as well as soon as he thought, I don't need to lose any of these anymore, right? That's just the caliber of player. It's so difficult to make a good decision and then retrieve that decision back and be like, you know what? It was a good decision, no longer is.
Yeah. Well, I like the little poking forward over there from Serral. Sees the Baneling, tries to go for it, doesn't end up being able to get it, but Reynor's tough on the defense. These Ravagers going to make their way across the map, and Reynor, gets a little bit of supply block there. His Overlord's only about halfway done, so the next round of reinforcements during this attack are going to be a little bit later here for Reynor.
Yeah, and Serral is looking to hit sharp with the +1 Carapace just finishing. So Reynor, not yet with his own +1 attack finished, and this could be a little bit problematic, though those Banelings are so crucial, and this position on the concave and with the spine repositioning is fantastic for the Italian, I think.
Oh my god! Serral fights off all of the Banelings, so all of the Lings over here for Serral are just absorbing so much damage from the roaches of Reynor, and Reynor, he's starting to get pushed further and further back.
Yeah, look at that hero spine, though, repositioning with 1 HP. Is it going to be a repositioning yet again? This is so good. He will not die with that spine, and it looks like he is finally holding and will continue to press on that advantage. I think this is it. Reynor taking it to Serral here.
Really, really well done there by Reynor. I got a bit concerned for him because, you know, you have all of those Banelings, and like you were saying, the Banelings very important in that kind of fight where you want them to connect with the Zerglings. Instead, the Roaches are doing a great job. I think there may even been some target fire there from the Roaches of Serral to just kill off each one of those Banelings. And the Lings are there to use that Carapace upgrade and absorb some of the damage from your opponent's Roaches, especially before +1 weapons finishes. But man, still just the lead that Reynor got from that earlier fight, definitely paying off.
Yeah, that was brilliant repositioning from Serral, right? Pulls the Lings all over to the side where he recognizes the Banelings are not. And I feel like a Reynor, if he had, you know, unlimited APM, could have had an opportunity to maybe pull those Banelings back and go around behind the Roaches to try to reposition to kill the Zerglings. But it ended up not mattering anyway. He was focused on, I mean, microing Roaches and Spine Crawlers and Banelings and everything that he needed to do. So yeah, I mean, sometimes, you know, your opponent just capitalizes on their own great moves, and you don't have an opportunity to counter them all. But yeah, I mean, Serral falling there, so Reynor still taking the fight.
All right, well, we're getting ready to move into game number 3 now, where Submarine is going to be the next map, Cass. I feel like we've been seeing this map a lot lately, but it kind of makes sense. You know, best of 5, there's not as many vetoes. Map that
12 pool, Ravi? Are you feeling a 12 pool? Are you feeling 2 12 pools? What are you feeling, Ravi?
Oh, you know, Cass, my dream that apparently other people have been able to witness, I have not. There's 2 12 pool drone pulls, and they.
Oh, we can will. Well, let's will it then. Let's will it.
Let's will it together.
Yeah, together. This is a 24 pool. Okay, 12 pool, 12 pool, 12 pool,
12 pool drone pull, 12 pool drone pull.
Oh, we both lost.
All right. Well, as you guys can tell, we have loaded into the game. We're jumping in. We're introducing the players down over here on the bottom right-hand side of the map. We have the blue Zerg player. He is the Italian stallion, Reynor.
And on the top left-hand side, it is the Finnish phenom, Serral.
Man, who really does embrace that Finnish heritage as well. I always enjoy seeing him on Instagram and Twitter and stuff, posting random photos of how he's attending like these galas or, you know, these parties that are put on by like the Finnish prime minister and stuff. I'm like, that is awesome. We live in a time where this wonderful Finnish StarCraft player is basically considered a celebrity, not just by like random people, but the actual government. And, ooh.
The next level play. So the Overlord of Serral will arrive earlier on this map than on most maps to the natural of Reynor, and will intake information that is false. Reynor is going for a 3 hatch before pool, Ravi. I love this on the smallest map in the map pool. And what this is going to look like to Serral, most likely, what it would look like to most people, let's put it this way, because I don't know that Serral will not read into the very few minerals missing here worth of time. But what this will look like is like a pool first, potentially with something like a huge link flood on the side of Reynor.
So, Cats, I know you are a man who also loves like a lot of the numbers and the quick analysis of how these build orders and stuff play out. When does the 3 hatch before pool start paying off compared to just like a normal opening?
That's a really good question. I mean, you definitely get a little bit more larva to work with. It's kind of difficult to make it pay off with a gas a lot of the time. But I think once you have that larva advantage, once your queens are starting to come into play, you can definitely do things like go mass links. I wouldn't be surprised to see Reynor abuse the amount of larva by focusing on something like link upgrades. He's been known for doing stuff like that. So I haven't seen this particular opening from him yet. But honestly, I love it. Unfortunately for him, Serral is the next level player, and his second Overlord is already at the 3rd and has checked it. So he knows that there is that.
I will say there was almost maybe an unfortunate moment. Maybe this is the decision that Serral was going to make anyways. But as he moved in and that Overlord was moving forward to spot out that creep, he made another round of like 4 or 5 drones instead of like being able to make, say, a bunch more Zerglings to try and pressure this 3rd base and capitalize on not having like queens out quite as quickly. But I'm not sure if that actually would have worked out all that well. We do see that Reynor has more than enough lings to deal with just the small ling count over here for Serral. The queen's getting ready to pop out. Should be okay.
Yeah, and Serral didn't really get much of a chance to freak out when he scouted the natural of Reynor. So it's not like he is at a huge disadvantage in any way. Reynor currently leads by 3 workers. And has a very early creep tumor that is going to connect his 3 bases. So these are the kind of the edges that he's taken from this. But nothing too big.
Yeah. All right, 1 drone pick off, not bad there for Serral. But like you said, has been able to kind of adjust and has his 3rd base now nearing completion. Decent number of lings being made over here for Reynor, with another drone or 2 being added in. I think these are likely just kind of the defensive, slightly offensive lings, right?
Yeah, he has to move out. The links, I mean, have the fastest movement speed in the game, so it's very difficult to justify them not moving out if you are one of the better players in the world, because otherwise you can just run away from anything. So why not have them out there? So he's gonna test the waters. It's what links often do. He's gonna find a few links, but has to be really careful with this Banelings, especially as they come from the high ground. These 2 Banelings will get sniped finally on the side of Reynor, and there's only 1 remaining on the side of Serral.
That's so dangerous. Oh my god.
My god, is he good.
Reynor, absolute madman, literally dancing with death of the Baneling over there, and comes in with 4 more Banelings of his own. He's going to try and test the waters over here once again. The Queen does fully wall off that little choke point there. The Zerglings are looking for opportunity. The Baneling actually does manage to sneak its way on in, softens up one of the Banelings of Serral. It does seem like Serral is able to start pushing this back.
Yeah, for the time being, Reynor is still reinforcing, and beautiful micro moves there, right? Like makes the Queen pull back so that the Baneling is gonna leave, and when the Baneling is gonna leave, he sends in his own Baneling. Like that kind of thing can really proc some missed micros on the other side of his opponent. Unfortunately for Reynor, his opponent is Serral, so it's just that dance that we were talking about. It's so,
I know it's split-second decision making. Oh, Baneling's gonna be rolling on forward, and they try to go after that middle line. They soften up a few of these drones, but the rest of the Banelings there for Serral should zone out these lings for Reynor, preventing him from just right-clicking them down. Now the roaches are starting to come out, and I feel like that is usually starting to be a turning point over here. A few lings do run on in though, and those 2 softened up drones get sniped off, as well as another extra.
Yeah, and that is where it's a little bit unfortunate that Reynor was actually, he turned around with the Baneling for a split second, and it hit 2 drones instead of like 5 or 6. Because, I mean, with that follow-up maneuver, that could have been huge for him. Yet still, he capitalizes on the hit, as of course he would. And now we have a pretty strong start for the Italian, I want to say. At least supply-wise, it looks that way.
Yeah, obviously there's a big round of drones that just came out over there for Serral, but I mean, he was up about as many workers as we just saw killed. So those workers really did do kind of the impact that I think Reynor was hoping for. And like you were saying, there is a nice supply lead there for Reynor, and a lot of that's in roaches. He's flooding out lings behind this and moving out across the map. Those lings going to be there to reinforce. Can he kill off some of these banelings with the roaches to maximize the effectiveness of the lings later on as well?
Yeah, this is kind of a reverse of the last game, but I think Serral is less prepared than Reynor was for his attack. So I think Reynor stands a chance to kind of maybe potentially close the game out. Just like that. Oh, that huge baneling shot, though, from Serral on the side will not allow for the counterattack. All the banelings have been taken care of. So like you mentioned in the previous game, the same thing applies. Now these links are a great buffer, Ravi. And it's looking pretty good for the Italian, but it's difficult to say if reinforcements will be enough.
Yeah, banelings are starting to splash down some of these roaches as well, doing a lot of good damage there. But it seems like Serral is starting to push this army back a little bit further. Nice dodge on the corrosive vial there from Serral as well. And that army supply that was leading up almost 20 in favor of Reynor has been reduced down to a measly 6 to 7 supply lead.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because we have almost a mirror of the last game, but the other way around. And the reactions even from the position are fairly similar, where Reynor, as soon as he identifies his attack is unlikely to work, starts that lair, starts that transitions, and now we see workers in production as well on his side.
Yeah, I like the poking forward over here from Reynor. He is really utilizing the fact that he's made all these Ravagers and Serral has not, so he's able to continuously throw down Corrosive Vials. He's going to really be teasing at engagement. Remember, it's not even just about the Corrosive Vials landing. It's about the fact that your opponent has to micro out of them. They lose DPS, but oh, Serral, he's going to micro into the Ravagers, start sniping them off one by one. Some of the Corrosive Vials do manage to land over here, but Reynor's going to lose a lot of roaches on the retreat as well.
Yeah, he is somehow a few workers ahead, but now Serral is starting that +2 attack, and I mean, a defense is pretty good for him. The one thing that Reynor has going for him, I think, is that Serral has committed and used a lot of banelings, which are pretty expensive units on defense, and I think that's where he kind of stabilizes. And it's not a mistake. Well, I wouldn't really call it a mistake, but it's not a reaction that he went as heavily on as Serral did. So where Serral was kind of out of the game at this point, I think this is still pretty playable for Reynor.
Yeah, absolutely. The Spire is most certainly going to make things a little bit strange, right? Because I always feel so odd about Spires on really small maps, Cats, because it's like there's almost an onus that you need to get something done when you make the Spire and get some mutos out and everything, but when it's such a small map, it's so much easier to make your way across the map safely before the mutos can start harassing your units or keeping you at home a little bit longer.
Yeah, I think one of the easiest ways to try to gear units towards the map is to think of their attributes. Mutas are extremely fast and they don't care about pathing. So the larger the map, usually the more they thrive because they get to make use of their stronger, what do you call them? Their stronger traits. Yeah, attributes.
Oh, okay, we see a bit of roach on roach action. Definitely seeing a concave favoring Reynor over here, but there's spines that walk their way across the map. Submarine is that small of a map. Serral gonna get the defender's advantage on Reynor's home territory. The Queen's helping out a lot though, and now the spine crawlers are finally gonna get involved. 2 more spine crawlers making away. It's a spine crawler flank, Cats.
Yeah, it's pretty good from Serral. I really love this move. I mean, it's the kind of move that you do on Submarine and nowhere else, and now he's situated between these two bases of Reynor, and that means he can go either or, and the spines will buffer.
Oh, one of the spines does go down, another spine very low on hit points, but it seems like Serral feels like he's making enough progress over here. The Overlords could be vulnerable, but the Ravager count has fallen, and Serral does not want to waste Corrosive Vials on something that is not the army for now. Spine Crawlers adding in that extra DPS, reinforcements coming forward, and actually holding off the reinforcements from the bottom left-hand base for Reynor. Serral is pummeling forward successfully.
Yeah, there's 6 roaches still in production. Reynor might still have a slight chance here if he can somewhat stabilize, if he can hit some of these Corrosive Vials. But again, those Overlords are kind of hurting the area that he can or can't Corrosive Vial at the moment. It would be nice to move him out of the way. Serral will push on through and capitalize on his lead. A little bit closer of a game than the last, but still a pretty awesome all-in from Serral.
Really great game.
And of course, I guess.
Guys, as per usual, we're going to be going into a game number 4 after a short break, so don't go anywhere. You're watching one of the funnest series we've seen today. tension is mounting between these two players, and I feel like we got to build up even a little bit more tension before moving into game number 4 with that break. Cass, we're going to Eternal Empire, a map known for the macro potential here. I'm excited.
I'm super excited. There's also that 4th with the Rich Vespin Geyser. In CVC, it is, I don't know, it feels a little bit less crazy than in the other matchups to potentially utilize. And when I say that, I don't mean like you're gonna see it from most players, but I think Reynor is the type of player that could do something crazy on this map. I would love to see him exploit the macro capabilities, but then at the same time, he just went 3 hatch before pool on the shortest rush map distance, so who knows what he's gonna do.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point, and Reynor has definitely been the trickster so far. We're going to be starting up here in the top right-hand corner of the map, atop of the red Zerg player. He is Serral.
With some tricks of his own last game too. And in the bottom left-hand side, it is the Italian stallion Reynor.
All right, Cats. Well, our Italian Stallion is going to need to build up a little momentum here to make sure he can win not only this game, but remember, he has to win 2 games in a row versus a very difficult opponent. He's capable of it. It's definitely not going to be easy.
Oh, certainly. It's a difficult race against Serral. And yeah, I mean, the Spider Rabbit, you talked about it. It really didn't do much. And, you know, it's a pretty small map. So sometimes, can you be too crazy? Because that was like 3 hatch before pool into Spire in the smallest map in the map pool. Is that like, are you trying too hard to trick your opponent into something that maybe does it become insensible, like for real at that point? Like, it's like, yeah, that makes so little sense that it's just not even a good trick anymore.
Yeah, it's one of those congratulations, you played yourself moments to some extent. I definitely am with you on that. Well, we're gonna be seeing a little drill and just sit around the map. It's just gonna be doing something here. Ooh, wait, hold on, Cats. I'm a little iffy on this. The Zolaga Watchtower would catch wind of that, right? If that base got taken.
Yeah, if Serral chose to go through that area, yeah, I believe the Selnaga Tower would scout it. And if it didn't, I mean, if there's a circling nearby near that Selnaga Tower, it will definitely look for that base, knowing that there's no third, and you know, seeing how Reynor has been proxying everything.
Yeah. Oh man, this is almost turning into one of those series where I wouldn't fault Serral, where we're just, I guess, being a little bit more proactive about scouting around. But okay.
That's just the thing, Ravi. This is what Reynor forces Serral to do. Is he forces, I think, Serral to think on the fly, to not just go for the macro. Like, I think that I really think that a lot of Serral's evolution is owed to players like Reynor who really are able to push his boundaries and be like, you're not getting away with just your normal stuff, you know?
You know what actually it reminds me a lot of? It kind of reminds me of, you know, remember Neebs back in the day? Very, very standard player. Even to this day, still a more standard player, but you saw him gradually as like 2017 started coming to a close and 2018 started beginning. Neebs started mixing in a lot more of these kind of other cheeky moves. He started mixing in some cheeses and stuff here, but oh man. Oh, that's a lot of lings being made right now for Reynor.
For both players, actually.
Yeah, both. Actually, yeah, that's... Are they both going to go for a similar style build, but just different hatchery placements now?
Yeah, this is what you were hoping for, Ravi. This is the Ling Bane knife fights that we are going into. So we'll see who gets the better of that. Both players flooding, because, you know, if you don't flood and you don't have enough, then you just kind of die. So it's kind of like what you would expect from a position like this. Maybe Reynor was hoping that Serral wouldn't expect this on the basis that maybe Serral wouldn't have scouted his third up until this point. But Serral certainly did.
Okay, Baneling's about to finish morphing over here. Oh, Serral goes for a very ballsy maneuver there. He doesn't know how far along that Baneling is, but he managed to get the snipe off and is now able to push on forward with his own Banelings, able to try and zone out some of the lings over here for Reynor. Reynor doing a nice job evading that one Baneling. Once it's taken care of, he does have the overwhelming ling numbers.
Yeah, and we say he doesn't know, but I think he might have. The overlord might be close enough. Great shot there. I mean, otherwise, you know, if it was true, I'd be like, yeah, true, just definitely clicked on that Baneling without knowing. But knowing Serral chances are like he probably had a good sense of how far along it was. Yet still, this one more last Baneling remaining will be blown up. And now Reynor with the Banelings, but Serral with roaches hatching. Oh no! Uncharacteristic mistake.
Oh, that's going to be brutal. And more roaches going to be coming in from the natural. Look at all of these roaches. That should be easily enough to push back a lot of these lings here for Reynor. Reynor now going to be on the retreat. His own roach warren much later. Is this enough roaches with a forward proxy hatchery? He's going to have a very short distance across the map. He might actually be able to carry on this momentum.
Yeah, I mean, this time around, it's Serral being a little bit of a trickster, it seems, and we're gonna see him try and capitalize on this forward position with the roaches. It makes a lot of sense. It's consistent, right? Like, you get the roaches. We were talking about how mutas are good on large maps because of the distance. Beautiful run by on the side of Reynor. Will not go down quietly here.
He's doing an insane amount of damage, and Serral Waltz is doing a lot of damage to the army. He has not broken through yet to the hatchery. He hasn't even broken through the queens yet, and look at that! Reynor getting a snipe off of the queen, killing even more drones. Serral's getting put into an all-in position, and that's it, GG! Reynor ties up the series.
Woo! All down to, I think that Ling run by really well done from Reynor. That was a really cool strategy on the side of Serral, doing something unexpected and then being consistent with it. Like I said, we were talking about how the mutas are bad because on short maps, potentially because they don't get to use their best traits. Well, in this case, when you shorten the range or the travel distance for roaches, they can be so much more powerful. So you can really see the plan of Serral there, and it was looking so strong, but that one Ling counterattack, Ravi.
Oh, it did so much. And that's like the stereotype of Reynor, right? To be very aggressive out on the map with Ling counterattacks and everything. The confidence to say I can afford to not have 10 extra lings with my army for this defense, that I will be able to hold on. Even if I don't 100% defend, I will get close enough to defending that I can afford to send these lings out and go on the counterattack. That is the most Reynor move out there, right? The best defense is a good offense. And Reynor lives up to that.
Absolutely. And it's not even like the lings, as they scale in numbers, will be more threatened by banelings, so they can kind of become a liability in a sense. So you definitely want to, if you have, you know, if you're Reynor, if you're as good as him and you can actually look everywhere, you would definitely want your lings to not be all clumped up against something like Roach Bane. So so yeah, it's just brilliant maneuvers and moves, and they're as smart as they are skillful in their execution. So do we have a tight series? Are we going into game 5?
It's a tied up series. We're going to a game 5 on Pillars of Gold. Couldn't have asked for more. And you know what? I think we pretty much expected this. Every single time they play against each other, it goes to that ace match. Every single time in the last 8 to 9 months. Like, this is where the series was destined to go. And this is the one that decides who's going to be able to take victory here. Although we have to
perhaps
make
who is Naruto? Who is Naruto in this story? Would you say this series, this game determines who gets to be Naruto in the story?
Do you want to be Naruto? Or do you want to be Sasuke?
I'm not sure. Who do you want to be? I think I like Naruto better than Sasuke personally. No?
All right,
it's nice.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I feel like Sasuke was the edgelord, so you know a lot of youngsters. You know, Reynor, he's a youngster, man. Maybe he's into those edgelords. Not sure.
I could see the Sasuke
guy. Yeah,
I could see maybe Reynor is hiding the Sharingan under his hair. Sometimes he has the hair, you know, over one eye. Maybe he has the Sharingan.
I like imagining all the people who have no idea anything about Naruto. Just like this.
Yeah, so
like,
sorry.
Oh my god. Can we get to game
Watch
5?
Watch Naruto if you guys.
Game is loading on up, guys. We're heading on to Pillars of Gold to determine who is going to go on to face off versus Young Money Clem, who's going to get knocked down to the lower bracket. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Without further ado, the epic conclusion of this best of 5. We're going to be starting down here on the bottom left-hand side of the map, top of the blue Zerg player, the Italian Stallion. He is Reynor.
And on the top right-hand side, tip your fedoras for the king. It is Serral.
Oh, no super early pools or anything this series, Cass. And I'm not going to lie. Kind of happy that that's the case. I feel like I would have been robbed out of an even longer, more epic climax for this best of 5.
Yeah, I mean, just tons of respect being shown from either player. I think I love to see these players take risks against each other because they're often good risks. It's a very explosive matchup between these two, right? Because they have to figure out how do you one up this guy.
But you know, one thing I have to say, Cats, that we haven't really seen the series get into is we've seen some of the Roach versus Roach Wars, and we've seen, like, for example, you're talking about the Mutalisk play and everything. We saw a few Mutas coming on out. We actually saw Hydroden also thrown down at that same time, I believe, in like the other game on Submarine, I believe, but didn't end up getting to see it come into play or anything. Didn't have the time or the resources to actually make any of them. I feel like that's the one stage that we haven't really seen from these two players. So you know what? If I'm going on that wish list again, not necessarily what I'm predicting will happen, but the wish list of what I want to still see from this series, I want to see it get past that just mass Roach Ravager stage. I want to see what these players are looking like in that late game.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. But I'll say, Ravi, I wouldn't even mind to see more Roach Ravager, especially on a map like this, because the third is so very open. I can't imagine that it will go unchecked. So, if these players are matching each other blow for blow, we'll see a very slow transition. But the way that they've been playing and as much respect as they've been giving each other, they are really trying to be sneaky throughout the series. I'm not sure that they're just gonna, butt heads. Yeah, it's been Roach Ravager, but it hasn't been like, we're doing the same thing. And it's more like, ha, did I catch you? No, I caught you, right? Type thing.
No, that's absolutely true. And that's a good summary of how the series has been going. There's been a lot of these sneaky little moves, mostly from Reynor's side, but even Serral, like you said, kind of forced into doing some of those moves, given their history, given the respect that they have for each other, and the fact that you do need to try and get some of those little cheeky wins in. Now, two lanes just going to harass each other over here. This is just the light little poking and annoyance at the third bases, but we got Bailiness coming up over here back at home for Serral. And as the lings start popping out for both sides, we should see probably just an attempt to get some good scouting information here.
And of course he will. There is six lings on the other side moving out for Reynor, perhaps to apply a little bit of pressure. And there's a lot of lings in production actually.
Yeah, those two lings for Serral are still alive, and a lot of those lings are coming out from the main base. Cats, if those lings for Serral start moving forward just a little bit, they might actually be able to spot out a lot of the lings popping.
And Reynor is actually looking for the lings of Serral also inside his base, but he didn't manage to find them. Serral actually managed to hide two lings that are going to turn into banelings, or are already turning into banelings in the side of Reynor, who just checked for them and didn't find them. Right, that's the thing, is in your head, you just cleared the space. They're not.
Banelings rolling in. Oh, Reynor has no idea.
Yeah, I mean, that connection was just destined on the other side, as you would expect. Reynor has links, and it's making things happen. Only 3 drones, though, compared to the 9 drones that he lost to the banelings.
Oh, Reynor has to get some damage done after those kind of losses. And remember, he also flooded out a lot of lings over here. It looks like they did end up just kind of trading a lot of the lings, and Reynor was able to make a few more drones behind all this. So at the end of the day, with larva injects and everything popping off at slightly different times, it does seem like the game is evened out a lot more, but
yeah, definitely
a very tense situation.
The links are a little bit cheaper than the banelings as well.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. But I would say Serral with a slight edge. Okay, Reynor looking for a couple more kills. We'll find one.
Quick layer follow-up over here for Reynor. Going to be beating Serral to the punch. He's going for the +1 Carapace upgrade instead with that extra gas, and then throwing down the Roach Warren.
Yeah, that is a very interesting upgrade to get right now. Is the Carapace, perhaps predicting that Reynor will stay on the link style that he likes so much, at least for a little while longer. It's easy to just kind of start the +1 attack for roaches whenever you're planning on going roaches. This could also be yet another fake from Serral, who is actually taking an extra 2 gases. That'll put him up to 3. So there is the possibility for a fake into something like a Spire as well.
Interesting thought. Yeah, Carapace upgrade will definitely help those roaches survive against lings. Ooh, failing cleaning up those lings there, and gonna prevent the scout out on the Spire from Serral. But yeah, the Spire is now being plopped on down in the natural expansion of Reynor. This definitely gets into an interesting place, because yeah, so many roaches are actually being made for Serral. It's definitely not turning into a fake at this point. But remember, this is a big committed attack. No lair behind this. Not actually that many queens either. This is going to be a very tough Muta transition to deal with for Serral, but he's going to have a big attack before it hits.
I wonder if Serral is so next level that he's anticipating that Reynor is going for the Muta when he starts the +1 Carapace upgrade, because I feel like Muta are really going to struggle against +1 Carapace Roaches, and you know, the +1 attack for Roaches is probably better against Circlings, and it's cheaper against Circlings. So I think the only thing that makes sense is that Serral is actually accounting for the Mutas and for the Roaches to be tanky enough that they don't care about them.
That's a great point, because yeah, the Glaive Worm bounce damage also gets reduced by 1 by the armor upgrade, so it's a massive benefit. A lot of Banelings getting in the mix over here for Reynor. A lot of Spine Crawls also starting up, and look at all those Banelings also available for Serral. He can just go off on the Spine Crawl. He's going to be able to immediately kill off 2 of them. The army for Reynor is just disappearing, and he's starting 1 Muta.
Long live the king. I mean, this is looking amazing for Serral, who is situated now on top of Reynor's expansion. Reynor, I think this is his last hurrah. He will pull the drones out, and he has still Ling reinforcements, but Serral has Ling reinforcements of his own, and these Roaches with +1 Carapace do not care.
Simmer down, kids, says Serral. He